Hello and welcome. Today's lesson is on domain and range in words. The objective of this lesson is to write and identify the domain and range of various relations in words. These are the inequality symbols. So this one is less than or equal to. This one is less than. This is greater than or equal to. And this is greater than. So when we translate words into inequalities, we always on the lookout for the word and. So for example, this one does not have the word and, but this one does. This one also has the word and, this one doesn't. And this one also has the word and. The ones that does not have the word and, you basically just gonna use these symbols right here. So x greater than or equal to -3. So x greater than or equal to -3. Now when you see the word and, that means you're going to put the two inequalities facing that way. And you have the y. So basically this is saying y greater than or equal to 3, which is the smaller value, and less than 7. Okay, so here I have the word and, so that means you put the x in the middle, put the two inequality signs, and you say, okay, x greater than or equal to -2, so -2 is my beginning of my interval, and less than or equal to 12. The next one is x less than -35, so x less than -35. And the last one has the word and, so we make the interval, and it's not x, it's y. So y, the two inequality symbols, y greater than -25 or equal to, and less than -2. I know it might seem a little counterintuitive, but basically when I read this says y greater than, so like if I use the literal translation, y greater than or equal to 3, and then I say and y less than 7. Now when you could write it like this, but then to write in this notation, basically we flip that one. Okay, so the 3 goes here, this flips y, and y less than 7, and then we put it together, and that's basically what's happening there. The best way for me that I remember is that if it has the word and, put the setup, and then it's going to be the letter in the middle, and greater than would be the value in the front here, and then less than would be the value at the end. But know that that's what is basically happening behind the scenes. All right, let's take a look over here. Here I have an interval. Okay, so we know it's going to have the word and. So basically going to start with the letter x, and you say greater than or equal to -12 and less than 6. Again, here y greater than -5 and less than or equal to 17. Now if you only has one inequality sign, then you do the literal translation right there, which is x less than 307. Here only one, so x greater than or equal to -45. Remember, the letter R stands for all real numbers. And next one is an interval, so basically you start with the letter and you always say greater than, and because I have a dash, or equal to -23 and less than 18. The reason why this is important is because sometimes on the STAAR test, you're going to have problems with domain and range, and they're going to be expressed in words instead of an inequality. So you need to be able to translate these words into an inequality. So for example, here says domain, so you know it's x value, is all real numbers greater than or equal to 0, and, so you know that you have an interval, less than or equal to 100. So you know that greater than or equal to 0, so that would be the first value, and less than or equal to 100. So then this would be your second value. Okay, so you know that these words represent this. So letter A goes with number 4. Then the next one says the range, so this will be y, is all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than 12. So you know you have an interval is less than 12 and is greater or equal to 0. So right there, letter B will be number 2. The next one is domain, so you put x greater than or equal to -1 and less than 5. So you know it's an interval. So greater or equal to -1 and less than 5. So right there, letter C goes with number 1. And the last one, the range, so y, inequality value, because it has the word and, greater than or equal to 0, and less than or equal to 100. So that would be letter D. Very good. Now the reason why we're going through these exercises here and learning about translating words into inequalities, the reason behind is because more and more on the STAR test, we're starting to see that they're having questions that have to do with domain and range, and they're using words to describe the inequality. So here's, for example, is a 2024 question. This particular question is question number 9. And it's saying, what is the range of the function f of x equals -x squared plus 60x? We know from this question that we're looking for y, and we know there is a function. In this particular one, we're going to use another tool in our class, which is the Desmos calculator, and you can access that online if you have your computers. And the Desmos calculator that we use is this one right here that has the green bar right here, and it says Texas. So basically what I would do in a problem like this is, here's my function, I would write on the computer, so f of x, just copy as it is, equals, so minus x squared plus 60x. So if you notice, that's exactly what I wrote. Now I see a line right there, so let me zoom out to see if I can have a better picture of the graph. So right there I see that I have a graph, and it looks like what we call a parabola. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a sketch, okay, and my sketch is going to look something like this, okay. So basically the Desmos give an idea that the graph is going to look like this curved line right there. Please notice that one thing that the Desmos cannot do is put the arrows on your graphs, but you can determine that because if you move your graph down, you see that this line is going to go forever, okay? So that you know that this is arrow and arrow. So let me move back up, and I can kind of zoom in a little bit. So I noticed that the graph is going to go up and then down. And what I can do is move my mouse over there, and I can see that the very top right there is at, click the button, at 900. Okay, see the y value is 900. And that helps me determine the range, because remember, range, you put the y, you put the setup, you position your pencil on the horizontal, and then you move your pencil from bottom up. First place I touch is the arrow, so I erase. Then I keep moving my pencil up, and I know the last place I touch right there, looking at Desmos right here, is 900. and it's going to be a dash because it's a solid line. So right there, I know that this is going to be an inequality that says y less than or equal to 900. Now I go from here back to the multiple choices, and I notice that the one that says less than or equal to 900 is going to be letter D. So as you can see, more and more the STAR tests are using domain and range with words, and that's why we need to be ready for it. Okay, let's turn to the next page. So here's the back side, and here we see a question of the 2024, question number 17. Again, we see words, and we see that this problem has to do with domain and range of this graph. So basically here's an exponential function is graph on the grid. Which statements are true about the domain and range of part of the function shown? So domain and range, so we know we have x and y. We make the setup. For the domain, we put our pencil like this, we move it across. First place I touch is 2 with the dash. Keep moving my pencil across. The last place I touch is 5 with the dash. Then from bottom up, first place I touch is 1 with the dash. And last place I touch is 8 with the dash. Now, as you can see, both of this is an interval, so that means I'm looking for that word and. So right there, I see the word and. Here it says domain is the set of all real numbers. I can go ahead and eliminate that one. Here I have the word and the set of all real numbers. I can already eliminate these two. Now let's see. One is talking about domain, and it says domain is between 2 and 5. So greater than or equal to 1, that's wrong. Greater or equal to 2 and less than 5, that is one of the ones that I want to select. Then talking about the range, which is y, is between 1 and 8. So greater than or equal to 1 and less than 8. So this is my other one. So those two are my selected answers, because remember, this one says there's 2 correct answers. And this is another reason why we're focusing on words and be able to translate inequalities to words and vice versa. Okay, let's go on to the next set of questions. This is going to be similar to the 2024 question number 23. So basically there was a question that says, a swimming pool can be rented for $50 per hour. The pool can be rented for either 1 hour or 2 hours. The cost in dollars to rent the pool is a function of the number of hours the pool is rented. Okay, so basically there's a function, okay, so a function of x that equals $50 per hour. So the pool can be rented for either 1 hour or 2 hours. So in other words, that means I could have f of 1 or f of 2. So what is the domain? What are the x values that we're talking about in this particular problem? So the possible values would be 1 and 2. Now the question is, what is the range? What is the value of y? What is the value of f of x? Remember, f of x is the same thing as y. So basically it's asking us to evaluate f of 1. Well, think about it. If I use the pool for 1 hour, I'm going to pay $50. How much I'm going to pay if I use for 2 hours? Well, I'm going to pay $100. So what are my y values? My y values would be 50 and 100. Let's go on to the next one. Joe is going shoe shopping. The pair he wants to buy are $90 each. If he has $350 saved up, what is the greatest number of shoe pairs that he can purchase? So if he has $350, right, and he wants to buy pairs that are $90 each, so that means if he buys one pair, he pays $90. If you buy 2 pairs, he pays $180. He buy 3 times 90 is $270. Okay, so he still have money. So let's say if you buy 4 times 90 is $360. Guess what? He cannot buy 4 pairs of shoes. All his options are 1, 2, and 3. So what is the domain of this function? The domain would be 1, 2, 3. These are the possible options that he could buy. And if he buys that, what is the range? What is the y value? So the y value would be 90, 180, and 270. All right. Last one. The daily cost of hiring a carpenter Y to work X hours on a repair project can be modeled using a linear function. The carpenter charges a fixed cost of $90 plus an additional cost of $35 per hour. The carpenter works a maximum of 8 hours per day. So that means he could work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 hours. So the question is, how much is going to cost? How much if I work 1 hour? Please remember we have the TI-84 that we can use here. So basically what we're talking about is we're going to plug it in the 1 here, and then we're going to plug it in the 2, the 3. So what I can do is write 35 parentheses 1 close parentheses plus 90, and I will know that in 1 hour I pay 125. In 2 hours, so press second enter, we move it across, and this would be number 2. So this would be 160. Do another one. So second enter. Change that to a 3. So it'll be 195. And this way we can start building the list of numbers. So second enter. So I see there 4 is 230, 5 is 265. Press enter again. We have 300, and then 7 and 8, 335, and 370. So what is the domain for 1 day of work? Could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. That would be my domain. And then what is the range? It would be 125, 160, 195, 230, 265, 300, 335, and 370. So basically here I use this function and I use function notation. So basically I use the calculator and I replace the x with the possible number of hours, and I've created a list. So this would be my x values, this would be my y values. So then x values is domain, y values is the range, and there we go. So basically today we talked about how we need to know how to express domain and range in words. We also learn about some problems here that gives us some situation where we can determine the domain and range that applies. So this is the lesson for today. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.